Hello, my name is Cecilia Fernandez, and I'm arguing in favor of involuntary treatment for mental health. One of the biggest pros that people discuss when talking about this topic is that it ensures the safety of those with mental health issues. In cases of extreme anorexia, people who have nearly starved themselves to death are still refusing treatment, and we need to be able to administer them treatment so that they can survive. There's also the issue of potential suicide, where people with any mental health disorder, such as a major depressive disorder, a manic depressive disorder, schizophrenic disorder, anything, can decide that maybe they can't deal with this anymore, and so they attempt to commit suicide. And it's only after they try to commit suicide that we can involuntarily give them treatment. And it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to give them treatment before it gets to that point. There's also the issue of unhealthy coping mechanisms such as self-harm and substance abuse, which could inevitably lead to their death. Manic depressive disorder is one of the disorders where nearly 60% of the people diagnosed with it have had issues with substance abuse in the past. And there's also the issue of protecting these people from a potential backlash. In the case of Dee Dee Blanchard, she was not diagnosed with Munchausen by proxy until after her death. Can you imagine if we had caught on to that beforehand and were able to give her treatment and help her realize that what she was doing was wrong, that we could have avoided her death? Going off of that, it ensures the safety of those around people with extreme mental health issues. Delving deeper into the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard, what the person that really suffered the most from it was not only Dee Dee, but her daughter, Gypsy Rose. Gypsy Rose Blanchard was abused by her mother her entire life and was even being told that she was younger than she actually was. Dee Dee was telling doctors and family members that Gypsy had leukemia and cerebral palsy and disorder among disorder, trying to keep her daughter under her. And it took such a toll on Gypsy. Gypsy ended up having to deal with depression and anxiety because of the abuse that she suffered from her mother. And eventually Gypsy had enough, and she and her boyfriend got together and killed her own mother because she decided that she couldn't deal with it anymore. There's also the case of Will Bruce, who lived in a mental institution for 7 years, and once he turned 18, he refused treatment and was discharged. 2 months after being discharged, however, he murdered his own mother. It was only after being forced into treatment that he was able to realize that what he did was wrong and feel truly remorseful. He said, and I quote, "I should have my mother here today. I love and miss her so much. It should have never played out like this, but it did, and there's nothing I can do about it now." But imagine what could have been done beforehand had he been able to receive this treatment, or been forced to take this treatment. His mother would still be alive, and he wouldn't have to deal with this remorse for the rest of his life. There's also the case of Kendra Webdale, who was pushed out in front of a train in New York City by a complete stranger, schizophrenic man. Imagine had this person been in treatment and had been receiving treatment to deal with his schizophrenia, maybe he wouldn't have pushed a complete stranger into the front of a train. And ultimately, her death ended up in a law called Kendra's Law, which leads me to my next point. Involuntary treatment doesn't mean inpatient treatment. It simply means having someone take the necessary precautions and giving them help to be able to deal with their issue. With this law, outpatient commitment involves a court order requiring a patient to follow a treatment plan, whether that treatment plan be self-help groups, psychotherapy, supervised living, medication. It doesn't always have to be inpatient treatment. Voluntary treatment is crucial to the safety of those with mental health issues and those around them. Involuntary treatment does not mean that these people are incapable of taking care of themselves, and it does not mean that they are incapable of living as good a life as anyone else. It simply means that these people require just a little bit more attention to ensure that they can overcome their mental illnesses and live a perfectly good life.